What's up? What's up? What's up? Your boy Domuto. We're back with another video today. We are watching a Pickled Dill podcast. We're watching What If Goku Was Guardian of Earth Part 8. You know, the last part, Cell gave that boy Gohan 4 days. So he's gonna celebrate his birthday and we're gonna see what happens. So I'm ready, man. Let's get into it.
We return to our heroes in their lowest ebb. Cell deceived them, betrayed them, and left their bodies and pride broken on the floor. Gohan is the only one to walk away from the encounter unscathed, sets to the duty of dispensing senzu beans, his mind racing with Cell's warning. In 4 days' time, the bio-android will give the defenders of Earth a chance to fight him for the sake of the world. But after the beating they just received, what chance do they have really? Slowly, Gohan's family and friends begin to rise and shake off the scars of defeat. Nappa is the last to get to his feet, the senzu needing to fix the most trauma, since he was paralyzed from the neck down during the fight. But it quickly becomes clear that he has regained full usage of his hands at least, when he wraps one around Gohan's throat. The other Z fighters roar in shock and fury at this action, with Chi-Chi and Raditz flaring their powers in direct challenge to the Bald Bruiser. But Nappa doesn't even look at them, instead glowering at Gohan that he wants answers. Why didn't he help them fight Cell? Gohan struggles to answer while being choked, so Nappa drops him, and as the boy gasps and wheezes, the adult Saiyan continues his accusations, saying that not only did Gohan not help in this most recent battle, but he also stood on the sidelines during the battle with the androids. Chi-Chi snarls at Nappa to leave her son alone, but Gohan tells her that he's right. He didn't help against Cell or the androids, and it's because he was afraid. Silence falls at this declaration, and Gohan looks up from the ground.
What are you afraid of?
The eyes he meets are not Nappa's, his mother's, or Uncle Raditz's. It is Krillin who he looks to. He then asks Krillin if he remembers what it felt like to die. Krillin nods soberly, and a deep sorrow fills Gohan's voice, as he admits that ever since coming back to life, he hasn't been able to get that feeling of dying out of his mind. And then when it came time to fight, all he could think about was the prospect of going through that again, and how he couldn't bear it. It made him freeze up, and he's sorry. Nappa growls he supposes it's not his fault. It's his Earthling side giving him this unsane-like fear of death. But this is just
Nappa, you ain't died yet, nigga.
As Trunks, who is also half Saiyan, steps up for his cousin, saying that what Gohan's feeling isn't a weakness. It's proof that he's got the foresight to properly assess a situation, rather than just rushing in like an idiot. Raditz agrees with his future son, praising Gohan's survival instincts, and promising that they will grant him a long life, while Chi-Chi just holds her son, trying to transmit as much comfort and reassurance as she can through her touch. With nothing left to say on the matter, the majority of the group prepare to return to the lookout, though Trunks selects to stay behind and do some research, since even if the lab is mostly in ruins, he theorizes that maybe he'll be able to find something they can use against Cell, or even the androids of his timeline. When the rest of the Z fighters arrive at the lookout, Goku is waiting for them. His stony-faced expression tells them that he saw the events of the lab transpire. But unlike the others, there is something like eagerness behind his eyes, as he tells them it's time they formulate a plan to kill Cell. Gohan asks his father if it's even possible at this point, but Goku lays a hand on the boy's shoulder and grins that he knows it is, because he has faith in each and every one of them. This lightens the mood somewhat, with Raditz stepping up to stand beside his brother, and asking what he needs him to do. Goku's grin then turns to Raditz. With a light chuckle he replies, "What we do best. Train." He then lays out his plan for them to split up into groups and use the hyperbolic time chamber, like they did in preparation for Vegeta and Nappa's arrival. Though this time they have a much shorter training window, so they can't afford to waste a single second. He also lays out a few training objectives, namely to get Gohan and Nappa to go Super Saiyan. Though here Nappa declines, saying that he knows he can never catch up to the sons and grandsons of Bardock in terms of power, so would rather hone his own sort of power, and work on something he thinks will serve the group better. The other full-blood Saiyans can respect this, and so the Guardian gives his blessing, with Nappa departing to do his final training at Kame House. With him out of the equation, the breakdown on time in the chamber becomes much simpler. Since Raditz has 6 months remaining in which he can use the chamber, Trunks, when he returns, has a year, Goku has a little under a year and a half, while Chi-Chi and Gohan have a year and a half each. Here Goku reveals another advantage that they have. Now that he's dead, he can join them in the chamber without need for food or rest, meaning that though he is still limited by his time constraints, he is in essence a free training partner. And so it is decided that the first set of warriors to enter the room will be Goku, Gohan, and Chi-Chi, who will use a full year. Following, there
Why
will be
Chi-Chi
Trunks
going?
and Raditz to make use of Raditz's final 6 months. After that, Goku will spend his last 5 months training Tien and Krillin to really master their Kaioken. Then when he is gone, they will still have 7 months worth of food, so he wants them to use that time to practice and build up power. Finally, Gohan and Trunks will enter for their final 6 months. Since as the only other hybrid Saiyan, Trunks might be the best equipped to help Gohan unlock Super Saiyan before the fight with Cell. Doing some quick math, Tien points out that they will still have a day left over, and asks what Goku wants them to do with that. Goku smiles that he has something special planned for that final day, and everyone looks at him eagerly, expecting some secret training from Otherworld. However, instead Goku replies that on the final day, he wants to hold a birthday party for Gohan, since his actual birthday is going to be taken up fighting Cell. Chi-Chi smiles that this is a great idea,
birthday,
while
ain't it?
everyone else face falls, not sure if they'll be able to relax and enjoy a party with the threat of global annihilation.
Like, imagine going to school, right? And you having and it's your birthday, Everybody giving you happy birthdays and shit, right? Then a nigga want to fight you on your birthday. Like, that just ruined the whole day. Man, getting your ass whooped on your birthday, that'd probably be wilder, So you kind of got to win that motherfucker. So that would fucking suck. Damn, that would fucking suck, getting your ass whooped on your birthday. Damn.
Annihilation hanging over them, and so the training begins as planned, with one group at a time entering the Room of Spirit and Time, while the others train outside, often in the Lookout's gravity chamber. During this time, Trunks returns, telling the others that he found another android in a pod, labelled 16, and so taking inspiration from Cell's fake story, brought it to his mother to see if she could actually reprogram it so it will fight on their side. Everyone agrees that this is a good idea, though Trunks admits that he would have rather blown the machine's head off, and he only didn't since they're in such dire straits. This gives Goku an idea, and so after a quick telepathic chat with Shin, the Guardian briefly vanishes, before returning with the Z-Sword, which he hands to Trunks, telling him to train with it instead of his broken sword. Though Goku also adds he'd appreciate it if Trunks went easy on this sword, since he's only borrowing it, and he's scared of what the Kais might do to him if he broke their ancestral relic. Trunks nods his understanding and so gets to work, even though as it stands he can barely lift the sword. Eventually, everyone completes their training in the chamber, and as Trunks and Gohan emerge, all eyes fall on them to see if they've achieved their goal. Though both have grown physically and in power, it takes only a glance to realize that even after all this time, Gohan is still not a Super Saiyan. The boy is smart enough to know this comes as a disappointment to his father in particular, and so goes to apologize. But Goku tells him not to worry about it, since even Trunks, who was the youngest Super Saiyan, was a few years older than him when he first transformed, so maybe his body just isn't mature enough for the form yet. Gohan says he guesses so, and goes to reunite with his mother, who gushes that she's missed him, but in the same breath also states that he needs a haircut, since he's starting to look like his delinquent uncle and cousin. In contrast to Gohan's lack of success, everyone else has found new heights of power within themselves. Chi-Chi, Tien, and Krillin have all mastered Kaioken times 20, to the point where they can maintain it for the duration of a fight, while Goku, Trunks, and Raditz have attained Super Saiyan Grade 4. They have also attained the prior grades, but Trunks, being the smartest of them, promptly recognized the weaknesses and so dismissed them, encouraging his father and uncle to do likewise. Nappa for his part doesn't seem especially stronger when he returns to the Lookout, though everyone can feel that his ki control has improved immensely, which he says will allow him to really deliver the payback he has planned for Cell. The following day is Gohan's 10th birthday party, and everyone makes sure that this is an extra special day for the young man. Bulma even comes up to the Lookout with baby Trunks and the android Trunks found. He is a giant of a man, with a red mohawk and a gentle demeanor, who introduces himself as 16. Everyone in the group except Trunks welcomes 16 with open arms, even though he is one of Dr. Gero's androids, and this pleases the big bot, who promises that he will do all he can to ensure that they survive tomorrow. This puts something of a dampener on the mood, but even still, it's a celebration that none of them will soon forget, as everyone parties like it is their last day on Earth, acutely aware of the fact that it might actually be. The next morning dawns too soon for anyone's liking, and the Z-Fighters prepare themselves for the final showdown with Cell. Just as with the androids, Goku knows that he cannot join them, and so decides to spend the last few hours with his wife and son. They watch the sunrise together, and before they go, the Guardian pulls each of them aside for a few private words. Goku's sentiments for Chi-Chi are what one would expect from a husband to his wife, but when it's Gohan's turn, Goku leads him inside the Lookout's central building. As they walk, he tells his son that he is proud of the young man he has become, that he has grown into a powerful warrior while still remaining pure of spirit. Gohan blushes a little at this praise, but Goku says that he means it, and that's why he wants him to have something. He then opens the door to his and Chi-Chi's room, and lying on the bed is a white gi similar to Goku's robes, except instead of carrying the kanji for God on the breast, it reads Successor. Gohan asks what this is, and Goku says that it's his way of saying that he finally thinks Gohan is ready to assume the mantle as his successor.
Aww.
And so after today, he would like to start training his son to properly take over as Guardian of Earth in a few years. Gohan is speechless, and Goku gulps that he thought Gohan would like it, sheepishly asking if he would prefer a different color gi, but the boy says that it's perfect, and wraps his dad in a hug. When the pair emerge, both dressed in white, Chi-Chi has to wipe away a proud tear, and the trio briefly hug. The living two then detach themselves and go to join their friends, as Goku waves them off with a smile, telling them to look after each other and come home safe. As the only one who can sense Cell's energy anymore, Gohan takes the lead and guides the defenders of Earth to the bioandroid's location. To their surprise, they find that Cell has built himself an arena of sorts, and when he sees them, the bioandroid smirks that he's glad they found the place, and welcomes them to the Cell games. Trunks snarls that he doesn't have time for games, but Cell tuts that he really ought to listen to the rules of these games, since if the heroes break any of them, he's going to destroy the planet. This puts the brakes on Trunks' attack, and when Cell sees this, he leers domineeringly, before continuing that the rules are simple, and largely based off of those of the Tenkaichi Budokai, so even the slowest among them should be able to understand. Anyone may enter the ring at any point they wish, and there is no limit to the number of fighters who can be in the ring at one time. However, if they are knocked out of the ring, they cannot re-enter it, nor can they interfere from the outside. Killing is allowed, obviously, and when he kills or rings out all of them, he wins, and gets to destroy all of them and the planet. Angrily, Chi-Chi asks how they win, and Cell chuckles that they won't, but for argument's sake, if they manage to somehow kill him, then they would technically be the victors. Reddit's then asks what happens if they ring him out, Cogs clearly turning in his head as to how they might be able to earn a tactical victory. Cell admits that he hadn't considered that, but he supposes for the sake of a fair fight, if they ring him out, he will concede the games and leave Earth. However, they should be warned that such an outcome will only be a stay of execution, so if they think a half-hearted win will be enough, they need to think again and start bringing their A-game, since this tourney is kill or be killed. The bioandroid then floats into the air and lands in the center of his arena, telling them that the games are now open, so they should come at him when they are ready. For a moment they all consider rushing Cell at once, but Gohan points out that this is probably exactly what the monster is hoping for, as part of his love of mind games, and the reason he set up the ring and the ring out rule in the first place. Since, if they're all trying to hit him while avoiding hitting each other, and occupying a confined space, it will place the advantage squarely with Cell, who can use the Z-Fighters against one another. Trunks agrees, and so suggests they act in waves, volunteering to be the first wave alongside his father. But Tien shakes his head, saying that after the humiliating defeat Cell handed him and the other humans last time, he wants to have the first crack, and prove that his training wasn't in vain. Krillin says that he feels the same, and so it is decided that they will fight Cell first.
Oh, they about to get cooked.
The two humans step into the ring and power up to Kaioken times 20 at once. However, this does little to intimidate the bioandroid, who sneers that he was hoping to get to the main course, but he supposes appetizers never hurt anyone. He then vanishes, reappearing in front of Krillin, an elbow raised to drop on the bald man's head. However, Krillin is a slippery one, and so uses solar flare at point-blank range to blind the bot. Cell howls in pain, and this is just the opening Tien needs, charging up a Neo Tri-Beam. Lining up his hands, he gets a lock on Cell, and with a cry of Tri-Beam Ha, fires the Golden Blast. It is only by some perverse luck that Cell manages to regain his sight before this hits, and so the mechanical monster manages to lurch to one side just in time. However, he cannot avoid the attack in its entirety, and so to his horror finds that his left arm has been cleanly cleaved off at the elbow.
Damn.
This terrifies Cell, who realizes that had it hit him head on, he might have died, and not to one of the Saiyans, but to a pathetic human. Tien then readies himself to try again, even though such an attack would surely kill him. And knowing this as well, Reddit calls out from the sidelines for him to stop, saying it's not worth throwing his life away for pride. Tien grimly chuckles at his long-haired
with
fingers
Kaioken times 20?
But before he can go through with the sacrificial blast, Cell appears beside him. For a moment, the two warriors stare at each other. Then Cell smirks that Tien didn't really think he'd let him get away with that last attack, and not pay him back in kind, did he? Tien isn't sure what the Bugman means by this, but is soon enlightened when with a swift yank, Sol grabs hold of Tien's bicep and tears his arm off at the shoulder. Tien's tri-beam is immediately cancelled out, but this is the furthest thing from the bald man's mind as he collapses to the ground, unable to even scream as his body goes into shock. To add insult to injury, Sol then swats Tien out of the ring with the warrior's own severed arm, and with murderous eyes, turns his attention to Krillin. The monk gulps, but before he can suffer a similarly gruesome fate, Nappa tells him to quit while he's ahead, as he steps into the ring with Raditz, Trunks, and 16 at his side. The bald bruiser then asks if they all remember his plan, and the other three nod, each entering into a fighting stance. Cell taunts that any plan thought up by that oaf Nappa should be good for a laugh, and so invites them to take the first move, since he's busy regenerating his arm. The heroes are happy to accept this offer, and so charge in with Nappa in his muscle form at 16 at the head of the procession. Cell scoffs that he should have expected nothing better than a crude frontal assault, and so counters with a lazy one-handed Saturday crush. However, before it can hit any of them, the pair in front split up, allowing Trunks to come to the fore. Wielding the hilt of his broken sword, which is completed with a new blade of ki, Trunks easily slices Cell's blast in half, dissipating its power. Thanks to training with the weight of the Z-Sword, his movements with the Ki Sword are dozens of times faster than anything Cell could have anticipated, and so as he fires a series of follow-up blasts, Trunks cuts through all of them, clearing a path directly to Cell. Now upon him, 16 grabs Cell in a bear hug, while Raditz stands in front of the bug and begins to perform the Sleepy Boy technique. It is a good plan, however, Cell as it turns out does not need to sleep, and so is immune to such tricks. The bioandroid then wrests himself free of 16's grasp, and blows the other bot out of the arena, scattering pieces of him across the plains behind them. With a cackle he asks if they have a backup plan, and Trunks yells that they do, as he tosses a capsule onto the ground between them. With a pop, the item materializes, and to Cell's surprise he finds that the hero's secret weapon is an empty mini-fridge? Then from behind him, he hears a single dreadful word come out of Nappa's mouth. Mafuba.
Oh shit.
At once Cell understands their plan, and refusing to be caught off guard again, spins around to face the vortex of green ki headed his way. Raising his remaining hand, the bioandroid flares his aura, and with an immense effort pushes the Mafuba back. With a sound like rushing wind, the Mafuba rebounds onto Nappa, enveloping him and sending him hurtling into the tiny refrigerator, where he is summarily confined. Cell then cackles that, like he figured, any plan developed by Nappa was doomed to failure from the start.
Why are you doing Nappa like that?
Asks Trunks and Raditz if they have any other bright ideas, or if they'd rather he just blow them away now like 16. Standing strong, the duo declare that they do in fact have one last trick, as they fire off a father-son double Sunday. The purple beam is huge, and though Cell raises his hand to stop it, this is all he can do, being pushed to the very edge of the ring. Hope swells in the remaining Z-Fighters' hearts. All Trunks and Raditz need to do now is apply a little more pressure and the day will be saved. But alas, victory will not be so simple, as hanging by Cell's side, his regenerating arm grows its first finger. This is all the bioandroid requires, and so as his uninjured hand holds the double Sunday at bay, he raises his new finger, and with a malicious smirk, fires a Dodon ray directly at Trunks' heart. Fear fills the young half-Saiyan's face, as he sees this and recognizes that he can't block it. But before it can spell death for the youth, he is knocked off his feet by his father, who shoulder charges him out of the way, and takes the blast in his stead. Father and son land outside the ring, and Cell cackles that he's disappointed, since they almost had him. But Trunks pays this taunt no mind, his entire attention focused on his father. Due to him moving at the time, the Dodon Ray didn't hit Raditz in the center of the heart, meaning that for the moment, he is still alive. However, it is a mortal wound nonetheless, and with all their Senzu beans used up in the first fight with Cell, there is nothing Trunks can do to save him. Tears roll down Trunks' face, but Raditz in contrast is dry-eyed, and with a weak smile, he tells his son not to cry. After so long fearing death, and living for only his own survival, he's found something worth dying for, and he's happy that his end could save someone he loves. Trunks howls that he can't watch his father die. Not again. But from a small distance away, a gentle voice says that he may not have to. Looking up, Trunks sees the singed head and torso of Android 16 smiling at him. The bot then tells him that if they can get Raditz and him back to Capsule Corp fast enough, Bulma may be able to use his parts to save the Saiyan's life. Weakly, Raditz asks won't that kill 16? But the android replies that with his critical damage, he is not long for this world anyway. So if he is to go, he would rather it be to save a life, rather than to end one as he was designed to. Silence hangs between the three heroes.
Man, Goku didn't learn how to heal
finally
niggas
slips into
from
unconsciousness. And with time
Creep
running
guy?
out, Trunks makes the call, thanking 16 for this, and in a move that he never would have imagined possible, calling the android friend. The Half Saiyan then lifts off, a warrior in each arm, and as he goes, Cell jeers that Trunks can run if he wants, but by day's end everyone on this planet will be dead, so it seems like a futile gesture to him. He then stares down the last remaining Saiyan, Gohan, and to his immense disappointment finds not anger in the boy's eyes, but terror. Cell had hoped that dispatching his friends would incite Gohan to become a Super Saiyan, so they could have one last truly great fight with the only Earthling he respects. But it seems that he misjudged the boy. Sighing deeply, the bioandroid asks if Gohan is even going to step up and fight him, and when the youth does little more than tremble, he sighs again, saying that perhaps Gohan needs yet another push. Or in this case, a pull, as with his inherited Namekian physiology, Cell extends an arm and grabbing Gohan by the gi, pulls him into the ring. Chi-Chi cries out her son's name, but Cell snaps her to be silent, smirking that now Gohan is in the ring, he better start fighting, or soon he'll go the way of Raditz and 16. Still shaking, Gohan declares that he doesn't like fighting, but if this is really what Cell wants, then he'll do it. He then begins to marshal all the anger he feels at the bioandroid for his betrayal, for hurting his friends, and for threatening his home, and with a mighty scream, Gohan fires a Kamehameha. The blue beam is undeniably powerful, possibly even rivaling the father-son double Sunday, but now that Cell has both hands again, it is nothing to him, and with a simple swiping motion, he swats it away into a nearby mesa. The bioandroid then groans that this was really Gohan's best, wasn't it? Well, that at least answers one thing. There truly is no point in continuing to spare him. The green bug then vanishes, reappearing in front of Gohan, and with one hand raised, prepares to plunge it into his heart and end the boy once and for all. In the distance, Trunks feels Gohan's power vanish, and a pit forms in his stomach. It truly is over then, not only just for this time, but for the future as well. How could it all have gone so wrong? Meanwhile, Cell feels the unmistakable warmth of blood and ruptured organs on his hand, and looks down to deliver one last witty quip to Gohan before he dies. However, the person in front of him isn't Gohan, it's Chi-Chi. The blasted woman must have put herself between him and the brat.
Come on,
foolish
Gohan.
maternal instinct, no doubt. But no matter, he'll just kill Gohan next. Cell then pulls his arm out of Chi-Chi's stomach, but as the woman falls, he finds not the shaking, terrified wretch of earlier. No, now
anger.
he is facing a shining golden god. But this is not an ordinary Super Saiyan. Gohan's eyes have gone completely white, and at the center of his golden aura is a core of deep blue God Ki. Not only that, but his power has skyrocketed far above the other Super Saiyan states, and become undetectable to those not blessed with their own portion of God Ki. This is the culmination of Gohan's rage boosts, his Half Saiyan physiology, and his innate godly ki. This is Super Saiyan Rage. Super Saiyan Rage Gohan says nothing, instead simply cupping his hands and firing off a second Kamehameha, which far eclipses the first. Cell is swept off his feet by this attack and blown far into the sky as all over him, small pieces of his body begin to disintegrate. It is a moment of purest terror, but even still Cell persists, and so doing the only thing he can to survive, cups his own hands and launches a counter Kamehameha. This blast meets Gohan's, and thanks to the rapid Zenkai the boy's attack gave Cell, he manages to hold it at bay, but only through the use of his full power. It is a perfect stalemate. However, Gohan quickly finds himself at a disadvantage, as just like Goku theorized, his young body is ill-equipped to handle the stress of Super Saiyan, let alone a godly variant which grants more power, but takes a far higher toll. Such is the cost that all along Gohan's arms, patches of flesh begin to burn away as they are eaten up in order to keep him in this state for a little while longer. It is agony, but beyond that, it is a losing battle, as soon Gohan will run out of energy to maintain this power, and then Cell's Kamehameha will consume him and this world.
Come on, Gohan.
Realizing this, Gohan comes to a terrible conclusion, that if he is fated to die anyway today, he might as well die like his father, in a blaze of glory to save the Earth. Strangely enough, he is not afraid anymore, and so he readies himself to use up all his reserves in one final gambit. However, before he can burn himself out like a dying star, Gohan suddenly feels a pressure on the small of his back, and as warmth floods him, the strain to maintain Super Saiyan Rage is slightly diminished. Looking down, Gohan sees Chi-Chi, mortally wounded but still alive, giving the last of her energy to her son. Tears fill the boy's pupilless eyes, and in a small voice, he pleads with his mother to save her strength and live. But in too much pain for words, Chi-Chi merely shakes her head and continues to pump her ki into Gohan. As his aura expands to encase her too, it is now Chi-Chi who burns in her son's place, her body being consumed far faster than his was, as the last bastions of her strength can do little more than hold the line. However, Gohan still lacks the power to break the stalemate and actually overcome Cell's Kamehameha. And up above, Goku knows that in order to do so, the boy will need a much larger pool of ki to draw upon. Recognizing the deep furrow in the Guardian's brow, Mr. Popo asks if Goku's thinking what he thinks he is. Goku nods solemnly, then hands the genie his staff, imploring him to see that Gohan gets it when he is ready, and thanking him for all his help over the years. And then, without another word, he is gone. Using Kai, Goku appears an instant later in the Cell Games arena, and knowing that he doesn't have a moment to lose, he lays his hand beside his wife's on Gohan's back, and begins to pour his energy into his son's, urging him to keep fighting for just a little while longer. Thanks to the copious amounts of energy Goku has to share, Gohan's strength is restored, and now with his parents bearing the brunt of the ki drain for him, he is able to put all of his power into his Kamehameha for one final push. For a moment, the entire sky burns blue, and when it fades, Cell is gone. Returning to his base form at last, Gohan smiles. The day's saved, and they're together. But then the truth of the situation hits him harder than Cell ever could. His mother lies bleeding out, with tremendous burns coating her entire body, while his father is slowly fading away, doomed now to face the Supreme Kai's punishment for leaving the lookout. This is his fault. Both of them are paying for his weakness, and with the last of his strength, Gohan cries for his parents not to go. Goku sighs that it can't be helped, but they want Gohan to know that even if they can't be together anymore, his parents will always love him. And with these final words, Goku fades away, unable to resist the pull of Otherworld any longer, while down below, the last light leaves Chi-Chi's eyes. Neither warrior has any regrets as they go to meet their destinies, though the same cannot be said for their son, and as he stands alone in the Cell Games arena, Gohan weeps and contemplates all this victory cost.
Damn, that's the end? Damn, Pickle, why you let my nigga Gohan be a motherless, fatherless child, bro? What he do to you? Nah, that nigga Gohan about to be guardian of Earth. Shit gonna be crazy, bro. Damn, why they do Gohan like that? Anyway, like my reaction, like, comment, subscribe. This is great, actually. This was really good. But like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.